All right, all right. Hello, hello. Welcome everyone back to another Porch Rockin. What the fucks is this? Happy hour show. We got Dylan. What's up, Dylan?
What's going on, sir? I just want to say I'm an island boy. I'm just trying to make it. I'm an island boy.
Sing the second part. All right. So you left out transgender. All right. And I'm guessing that woke Buck up. How you doing, Buck?
Reevaluating my life after that.
Are you sure you want to be associated with this guy next to me? Oh man. So we're gonna start off here. We got another Porch Rockin' stream. Hello to everybody in chat. As you file in here, I guess just we'll chat really quick. The current / breaking news. So the native bridge has gone live within, I guess, the past 30 minutes or so. So Dylan, what's your take on this? Could you put it into simple happy hour terms for us? What's this mean? What's the significance of it?
Sure. Yeah. So there was a period of time in the very beginning, obviously, where people could bridge over funds and onto PulseChain, but they couldn't do anything unless they knew somebody to give them any money, like any PulseChain, so they could transact, right? And if they went and tried to buy wrapped PulseChain on Ethereum, they go and wrap it over to, or go through the bridge and try and get it on the PulseChain side, and they still can't do anything because it's not the native token; it's the wrapped version of Pulse, right? So this effectively allows any of those people that sent over money to get unstuck and to actually be able to go buy PulseChain off of Ethereum, wrap it over to Pulse, and actually do their thing, right? Otherwise, they're kind of just holding their dick in their hand, right? So, that's pretty good. All of those people that want to come over are now able to come over, and they don't have to know somebody or try and use one of the many faucets that claim to work but never do. So it's bullish, but I'm watching. We have a bot that we track the inflows of the bridge, and we kind of filter it out. So it's over like 50K transactions. And, I mean, the latest inflow was 4 minutes ago, and it was 600 grand. It was 325 ETH that just came over, but mostly it's been relatively even inflows and outflows. So it's kind of like, plateaued since we got to the 150 million mark or whatever. So. Yeah, it's bullish, right? Everyone can start transacting on PulseChain now. You don't need to know somebody. So that's good.
Yeah, I guess hence the new contract addresses that were also posted as well.
Exactly, yeah. Yep, because they had to make, this is a newer, like the old one. I don't even think that the old one, you're going to be able to wrap anything anymore, if I'm not mistaken, because he mentioned that like a week ago or something. So yeah, the wrap Pulse on ETH, that is the old one. All you'll be able to do is go back to the bridge and get it on the other side. But you won't be able to make any more of that particular Pulse. So.
And there you have that. So I guess, Buck, over to you, as we're just going to knock out a bunch of topics while, we have here for the next 60-ish minutes or so. But we had a interesting day in the traditional markets. So unemployment actually ticked up a bit, which the market actually liked, because that could be seen as a possible sign of the Fed maybe backing off, not necessarily reversing anytime soon. At least I don't think so. For whatever reason, a lot of people think they'll actually cut this year. I think that's just funny. But what's your take on, I guess, we'll start with the traditional markets of where we stand there with unemployment, Fed rates, what do you think they'll do, or just stay put? I think a lot of people are calling for maybe a couple quarter point raises this year, and that would be it. That seems more realistic to me, if anything. But yeah, your take on that. Oh, we lost Buck.
No, he didn't lose me.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think you pretty much already kind of said it pretty well. The rising unemployment, even though paradoxically people assume that means bad, because it is bad for those people, it means good in the sense that it makes the Fed worry about one half of their mandate, which is to keep stable unemployment. So if they start seeing that trending upwards, and they start seeing CPI trending downwards, then they're going to be more likely to start easing. So yeah, that's an example of bad news is good news. I don't have like a very strong view about like the next few months or whatever. I just think the ultimate direction of the cycle is probably lower interest rates, into next year.
Yeah.
So I think that in general just basically is supportive for risk assets. I literally just had the reason I had that pause was because I was actually texting my brother because he was asking about if it's a good time to get into real estate and things like that. So I was just distracted. But
while you mentioned that, I mean, what do you think about real estate? And not that say, hey, how'd you respond? But I mean, rates.
Yeah, give us the inside scoop, man.
rates are, I mean, what, 7% for or above, I think, right now. And I mean, if you're sitting, maybe a year ago at like 3.5, 3.25, it's kind of like you're playing with free money. And now it's more than double that. So I know and it's, I guess, regional specific. So you have areas like Florida that are still hot, but you have other areas, maybe like in New York, California, other various select cities that are very cool because people are getting the hell out of there. So what's your, I guess, just overall grand view of where we're at in real estate?
Yeah. So like you said, real estate is a very regionally specific thing. So it's hard to say, go buy a house in, Florida or go buy this. And I don't have any like particular insight on any of those regions.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just basically interest rates down, house price up. That's basically the
in the next year or so, but not anytime soon.
No. I mean, it happens slowly, right? And there's probably other things I'd rather buy than real estate, to be honest. Things that probably sold off more. But yeah, you guys that locked in your mortgage for 30 years in the U.S., you're winning bigly. That's a very.
I stole my house from the bank.
Yeah.
You stole it from BlackRock?
I got a 2.75% interest rate. I stole that bitch.
Oh, nice.
So your bank has sold that debt on to a retiree somewhere.
Yeah,
your bank is fine, but it's the baby boomer that thought the 2% yield on their portfolio was going to be attractive. That's who's getting fucked with that.
Whoops.
No puns intended on this PHUX stream. But we'll get to that later. We have a bunch to talk about with that ecosystem, and apparently, from what I've heard through the grapevine, some things could be happening very soon, within the next week or two. So we'll get to that. I guess a couple more general topics first. I caught a couple of your recent interviews or streams this week with one or both of you, or even on Spaces. I can't remember. There's like so much out there, and it's hit or miss when I can catch it. But I think this may have been on DCC's show last night, actually. And the topic of, the next crypto cycle came up. And I just thought you had an interesting take of, we could be done with, in general, these cycles, so to speak, because Bitcoin's already at like, I don't even know the market cap, like $500 billion, or not $500 billion, but basically equal the value of half of the state of Florida. And I think it's legitimized now. And, is it, are we on this thing to where we get to a halvening and then we're going to see a run? Does that still have a factor in things? Or, do you see things, possibly shaping up differently based upon, some of the comments that I heard?
So What are you asking is going to shape up differently? Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people say, "Oh, well, next halvening is next spring, and that's the next cycle. So we're going to have a full cycle. So we're going to have Bitcoin followed by Bitcoin followed by DeFi, season or alt season, that kind of thing."
I never really bought into this narrative about the halvening. Like I always thought that was kind of rubbish. And you saw that Plan B guy who built his whole.
He keeps revising his chart.
It's true. Yeah. It's going down and down.
He built his whole thing on that, and it's just like, it's funny because he's a smart guy, and so he should know better. And he comes from my world, but like he keeps himself a secret, like who he is, which is also kind of funny.
Yeah.
But
it was very mysterious accent. But
yeah, it's just like look, the Bitcoin's not going up because of the halvening. It's going up because people want to go buy it, and it has bigger adoption and market penetration, right? So the halving just means that the inflation paid to the miners, it decreases a little bit, right? But that's already anticipated, right? That's kind of the key thing that people don't really understand. It seems, well, professional investors understand this, but like a lot of other people, they don't. So if they think if something is clearly forecast and well understood, it doesn't have as much of a impact on the market, right? So like when you have Bitcoin, it's like that schedule is pretty well understood, right? It shouldn't be something that you can go out and trade, right? You shouldn't be able to go, okay, I'm going to buy in front of this event, which it was programmed 20 years ago. It's just like, come on, guys. So it's things that you don't anticipate that come suddenly that really move markets, because that changes everything, right? So that's like a COVID thing, right? We were humming along. Trump was like actually doing pretty well in terms of popularity, right? And suddenly this pandemic comes out of nowhere, and we're locked down, and we're in a kind of a technical recession and all this shit. Like you didn't see that coming. I didn't see that coming, right?
Yeah.
Or on a Tuesday morning when I was in, high school taking my senior photo, a plane crashes into the World Trade Center, and then a few minutes later another one, right? Like that's the kind of stuff that that really moves markets, right? Something that's really well understood like that shouldn't really matter. I think DCC pointed this out, which is true. The inflation does drop, so it becomes less of an issue over time, right? They don't have to. So it produces less inflation anyway. So it's not like when Bitcoin was probably more rapidly inflating in the beginning. It's more drastic of a difference, yeah. Yeah, but it's still something that the market can anticipate. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So no, I don't think that 4-year cycle narrative actually really ever mattered. I think that was more just maybe a narrative that people prescribe to, but Bitcoin was just in a high growth phase anyway. And, that's about how long it took everybody to kind of, go away and forget about Bitcoin for a while, and for them to improve the infrastructure around it, and for people to come up with new things, right? So like, if you think about it, 2009, when Bitcoin came out, it was like basically impossible to use. You needed to be a computer nerd, right? Like an average person like me, even though I was interested in it in 2009, didn't know how to do it, right? And then, 2 years later, when Richard gets into it, like you still have to be pretty much a computer nerd, right? But maybe not like a super geeky one, right?
I mean, it paid well, 50 Bitcoin a click kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, but like there was no iPhone software out there for me to like go, click Bitcoin. You needed to like know how to go do something.
Yep.
I wasn't around for that, right? But then 2013, when I actually did succeed in getting into crypto, like then you actually start to have exchanges and apps and infrastructure and things like that. So I think those things were important step changes. 2017, that cycle was really brought about by the advent of Ethereum, the smart contract, right? That whole ICO craze, right? So that was a big step change. And then 2020, we had a combination of macro and DeFi summer that kind of, got everybody excited about crypto. So, Uniswap was a huge step change. So, I'm looking for the next big step change, technically speaking, in crypto, with the backdrop of a stronger macro environment, right? We had a favorable macro environment from 2009, basically, for risk assets until 2022, right? So there was like a honeymoon period of quantitative easing where
like a double cycle kind of thing, like this, if you think of them in like 7 years.
Yeah. And you just look at your the value of your house, 10 12 years ago, like where it is today, right? You could buy anything and do pretty well, right? So long as you weren't buying like just absolutely stupidly, right? So there you go, there you have it. So I think that's kind of the explanation for that. So going forward, these are more mature assets, like you said. They're going to be captured by the kind of broader macro thing. You do want to look out for those big step changes, and they can come in the form of technology or, regulatory improvements, custody improvements, things that are going to let bigger people to get involved, right? Social norms, things like that. But that's kind of what I'm looking for from crypto.
So from what I'm gathering, you're thinking it's not Zen.
It's probably not Zen. Yeah.
Okay.
I like Jack. I think he's a interesting, smart guy. But I think everything he's made to date is pretty much terrible and a gimmick designed to get him a following. And I hope someday he builds X1, which I guess is the main event, and that it's wonderful. But I've known a lot of people in this time in history, and I like to think about people like great men like Lenin or Mao or Stalin, who also were philosophers and had really high principles, but needed to do a few terrible things for 60, 70 years in order to bring us to paradise
for the greater good.
For the greater good, yeah.
For the greater
good. I'm just aware of that potential. But we'll see. But if there is a amazing, earth-shattering, amazing L1 called X1 that changes everything in a year or two's time, then I will be very impressed with Jack.
Yeah, I checked yesterday, and he's still launching stuff, just random stuff. Like yesterday, he launched Zentorians or something like this on PulseChain, I think. So he's still going at it. I think Cabana is having connection issues.
I think that's his internet connection just revolting from disgust.
Yeah, I think so. But yeah, no, like launching something every week and just keep going, and then just forget about the thing that you launched 2 weeks ago.
If there's a chain,
I think he's back
to host the cancer, it will latch on and oh great, lovely.
It's getting better.
He's got it back.
Yeah, hang in there, Cabana. We'll just run the show for a minute while your connection gets better. So Dylan,
what's up, Buck?
Tell us about your short-term view for PulseChain. What's going to happen this week?
Well, this week, fun fact, there was a whale that had 69 billion pulse that sold. Let me tell you exactly when. Sold
is 69 billion a lot?
69 billion is a lot.
Like, what does that make you? What does that make you?
I think between the shark and
trying.
You're good, Cabana.
Keep going.
Yeah, we'll keep going. You're getting better.
Yeah. So between a shark and a whale, I'm pretty sure. So it's a lot, right? and he sold roughly, I would say, 40 billion Pulse the other day.
Yeah.
And then the market, that was right before the new V2 PulseX came out. Okay. So, and then he waited 8 hours, about an hour after he started selling, the V2 came out. And then obviously the liquidity pools started to transfer over to V2, right? So naturally they were less liquid. Okay. And then the price was starting to climb a little bit, right? Because the news was bullish that V2 came out. And so he bridged out about $2.6 million on just wrapped ETH. And then I guess decided that, oh no, I made a mistake selling. And then diversified his ETH, $2.5 million of ETH into $500,000 in USDT, $500,000 in USDC, $500,000 in wrapped Bitcoin, $500,000 in DAI. And then he bridged everything back over, and then he started buying again. And so you can see the wicks on the chart. If you go to the hourly, June 1st at 1600, he sold, and then he bought back in at June 2nd, basically at midnight. So, and he lost, let's see how much Pulse he lost here. I have his thing. So he started with 69 billion, and he staked or sent out 46 billion. So he lost like 20 billion Pulse by being stupid and trying to be smart.
20 billion with a B.
With a B.
Wow.
A big number.
All right. Yeah, that's pretty good. I mean, people think of millions as like a lot, but in like Pulse and PulseX land, it's not anything really. But we start to talk with B's. That gets
just
pretty.
Yeah, that's some damage.
That he could have 10,000x'd that 40 billion that he lost. That would be, what's 10,000 times 40 billion? That's like what, 400 trillion? 400 trillion or something like that. That's man. Could have. And when Pulse price goes to $1, so that he could have literally had like almost $2 quadrillion, if he just held.
Yeah, so that'd be $1.4. So yeah, he would have been he lost $20 billion there if he got a 10,000x, right? So, oops.
Oopsie.
So yeah, oopsie. Small price to pay for being stupid. But yeah, no, that happened yesterday. So if you're gonna be a whale tard, don't be impatient. At least kind of give it some time. Don't wait 8 hours to try and trade $2 million on liquidity pools that are only about 25 million bucks, right? So because that's 10%, right? So you're gonna move the fucking price.
Yeah,
just be patient.
And that's like another thing too is I guess we had the V2 pools open up, so those were naturally quite shallow right at the beginning, but you could also kind of, because you had a gauge off of the V1, those creating new pools had that gauge to go by if you're not at the top of the food chain kind of thing. So those went up rather quickly, at least a lot of the ones with within the ecosystem. So I guess the Hedrons and ICOSs and stuff like that, and of course the PulseX and everything with hex related went up rather quickly, but possibly because they had a reference to go off of with the V1. So that was cool. So any thoughts on the V1 farms versus V2 fees?
Yeah, so I was kind of thinking about this, and speaking to Buck and Un and some other guys, and I really didn't think Richard would perhaps be this greedy. By me saying greedy, I mean keep the farms on V1 and then don't do any farms on V2. I didn't think he had it in him, but I guess here we are.
I mean, it could change the way the vague tweet was worded, but you are correct so far. Yeah.
So
you think that's just a technical thing.
It could be, yes. I don't think he would be excited to say, "Hey, look, guys, incentive token V2, here it is." But
But I mean, that's what he's going to have to do, right? Like he'll have to airdrop it and like a bunch to the existing guys and go, this is the new one.
I guess
yeah.
I'm not a dev. Maybe it's not greed, maybe it's tech, but maybe a combination of both.
Yeah, no, I think it's probably just he needs to come up with a more elaborate, a solution to it, and this is probably the best one he's got for the moment. Which makes sense.
He did have this thing called the party token. He could. Oh, hey guys, this is the party token now.
Oh yeah, what was the party token? I forgot.
That was like the single-sided PulseX staking token, right?
I don't remember.
I thought that was the party token, and incentive token was just for liquidity pools. So correct me if I'm wrong, chat, but I'm pretty sure the party token was just for single-sided pulse.
It's been so long, I forgot. So
and we don't have single-sided pulse staking yet either. So
did party token get Epsteined? What happened to it?
Oh boy, it's on an island somewhere.
Did it get?
Yeah, so party token had a limited lifespan in terms of the farms, and then it stopped, and then it just moved because you couldn't get any more of it. So that was on testnet at least. So
So party token had information about the Clintons, and that was I'm trying to get Cabana canceled.
They mentioned all the keywords: COVID.
COVID.
We already did World Trade. What else?
Building 7.
Tower 7.
There's a bunch of them. So let's just run through the list and test the algorithm. Anyway. Let me see. I'm just going back through our first set of topics. Oh, so one thing I wanted to ask you, Buck, before we got off of traditional markets. So I guess S&P were, first one of the main targets on a chart was like 4,200. The next one was like 4,300. Now we've somehow found ourselves within, that range. Whereas I guess 4,300 was once seen as resistance, and we haven't busted it yet. But how much higher do you think this can go? I mean, I know the whole AI thing has just gotten a lot of froth into the market, but at the same time I say that Nvidia guided up by 70% ridiculous. So it's not like a .com era to where people are thinking about eyeballs. This revenue is actually projected to be real, and not just hits on a website or things like that. So do you think this has legs, or are we gonna at some point cool off? Because I'm cool with everything going up here. That's great, but I think we do need some sort of respite here for a bit. But just curious as to your take on that.
Yeah, sure. So you can absolutely get this thing moving sideways for a while or down for a while. That can happen. But I think over a 3-5 year time horizon, it's going up pretty clearly. It's like I said, it's a combination of there's basically two factors at play with equities, right? In the numerator, it's the future expected cash flows of these companies, right? And in the denominator, I'm sorry to do math for the hexagons in here, but in the denominator, which is the thing underneath, you have interest. You basically have the path of interest rates. So basically, future cash flows up, good. Lower interest rates, good, right? Because you're dividing by a smaller number, right? So these companies go out and get more productive every day, right? And they get better every day. So you should expect that to mean that they're gonna grow over time. So that's why equities, indices do kind of just sort of grow and compound, right? It's everybody going to work at those companies and doing useful stuff. The scientists that work for them doing useful stuff that pushes them up. So yeah, I do think over a 3-5 year time horizon with lower interest rates expected for the next kind of 2 years, that's going to be beneficial. And yeah, we're seeing some step changes in tech as well. The AI stuff is incredibly good for capital, right? We're going to be able to fire a lot of interns. Like a lot of so you just think about how many people
As I
Dude.
recall, you have an intern that's very prominent on the social medias. Is that job safe?
Well, if I can get a chat bot that does Dylan's job better than he can, I would say Dylan's kind of fucked, right? You know, like that's, you know, especially if I can make it like a hot AI chick, you know, like that would I actually be real. I would pay more money for that than I'd pay for Dylan, right? So yeah.
Hey,
So
my bag shit.
So that's a very good thing for capital. Basically, it's going to spawn a whole bunch of innovation. I don't even fucking know what it means yet, but it's a big fucking deal. And that's why I was saying Microsoft's up about 20%, right, which is really impressive
for that big of a cap.
Yeah, it's $1 trillion company up 20%. It's like that means you had to add $200 billion of value to it.
I mean, Nvidia became over $1 trillion, for a moment overnight, basically.
Wow. So there you go. There's been like 3 kind of big events in our life, right? That like in terms of market, in terms of like step changes. I think one was pretty clearly the internet, which happened more gradually. 2 was crypto. And 3, I think, is this AI thing, which has actually surprised me because it hasn't been gradual. I mean, I guess they've been working on it for a while, but like it feels like we went from having nothing useful, like these like really annoying chat bots when you log into your bank, to like having something really fucking good that writes better than I can instantly without any grammatical errors. It's pretty impressive, and people are using it to do all sorts of stuff. Yeah.
These current news articles that are coming out about hex and shit, I bet you ChatGPT would have wrote them better with better information and even better FUD talking points.
That's actually a really good point.
more nuanced, probably, right? Because like those guys actually they're trying to like make their things nuanced. Right, they try.
And definitely would have been less sexist as well.
Hex, the original chain that Richard Hart built, performed well, but was deemed a Ponzi scheme. And then people use their PulseX to sacrifice for Pulse, and it's like, what the fuck, dude? Did you even read anything?
Yeah, I think a lot of those articles get written by guys that are basically just recycling bullshit that they read.
A lot of them clearly do not actually do research. Like it's just general speak. Like,
it's actually bad.
It's terrible.
I mean, we do deserve a bit of shit for certain things, right?
Yes.
But like they really managed to like stuff. Like they don't need to lie about shit. Like they could just stick with like the actual factual stuff and criticize that.
Yeah.
But instead they just purposefully. It's something with this younger generation, Cabana. I don't like these fucking young kids because like they, like when I was growing up, journalists were like supposed to be anti-establishment, and they're supposed to be guys that like, really care about the truth, right? And it's like,
it was totally that way back then.
Yeah. Now they're like,
they're all in bed with each other and protect each other, and it's absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, it's like, oh, who do I work for? Okay, we're gonna just lie because like that's what the boss wants, So today we're gonna go just make up shit about Richard Hart. Okay, it's just like, come on, you see it in like all aspects of journalism, and the guys that are the real truth tellers, the Cy Hirsches, the Matt Taibbi's, they're the guys that are at least trying to get to the bottom of this stuff. They hate them, they pillory them. So
journalistic integrity, man, it is a rare commodity.
It's gross. It's really gross.
We even see it in the community, right? People on Twitter will post anything, breaking news happening now, just in, and then they like some random shit, and then half of it's all wrong.
I wish you would do that, Dylan. I think fiat price would be twice as high if you would just do.
Breaking in all caps, and then whatever.
You know what's funny? I actually did that with one of the articles that was like Bitcoin on PulseChain went up to $70,000 and made a new all-time high or whatever. And then it was just a shit post article, like it was FUD. But I did breaking news happening now, just in, and then posted the article on Twitter. And I got like 10 followers from that for some fucking reason. I don't get it, dude. So, but yeah, no, I did that as a joke, and I really don't like doing that just because of the thing I said earlier, journalistic integrity, right? If I have something valuable to say, I'll say it, but I'm not just gonna blurt shit out into the open.
Yeah. I mean, we're loaded with clickbaity crap as it is.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous, man. I don't like that stuff. So, but
like, give me substance. Like, people give me crap about, oh, you don't follow me on Twitter. I use Twitter as like a tool, so I personally use it as like an information / community gauge. So I'll follow like random people in the Hex community. I'll follow, maybe a couple people outside the community and a lot that provide different sources of value. But if you're just like on there shit posting, then it's useless to me. And, sorry if you're offended, but not sorry. But that's how I use it. I use it as an informational tool. Now, Instagram, I'll follow you all day long. It's, just a fun social kind of platform, but something more informational to where, you're shit posting and, spamming, up people's timelines. I have no interest in that.
Yeah. I'm in the boat with you, bud.
Word. Let's see here.
Can we get to some of these comments? I quite like.
I didn't know if you would like to, but yeah, what comment would you like to get to?
There was the one about me and Rackham. I like that one.
Oh yeah, so that was a topic. But yeah, what was that? I don't think I bookmarked that one.
This Dixon guy says Buck is giving me Rackham vibes.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
really? Who the hell said that?
Are you friends with the Saudis and Russians?
I would like to be.
Okay.
Yeah. I would like it if they would start buying Fiat and Famous. That'd be good. Starting to get the Rackham Rochelle vibes from Buck.
Hey, Buck, why don't you tell how you and Rackham used to converse back in the day?
Oh yeah, Rackham and I in the beginning of Hex would argue a lot, and Rackham would basically.
Is this like AA phase or like after that?
This this was like the very, very beginning. Yeah.
Okay.
Like pre and post launch.
Yeah, because I was in there kind of saying this thing's going to drop because it's inflating very fast. Like it was like what 500 billion, 250 billion a day or something like that.
Yeah, 1 billion for the first day and then 500 billion for every day.
Yeah. Which, in Richard's defense, he pretty much told us this would happen as well, too, right? But anyways, Rackham didn't like me in there saying stuff like that in the Telegram chat, and so this is like the very beginning. But yeah, it's funny. I like Rackham. I think he's a very clever guy, and I aspire to be half as successful as he is. So thank you for the compliment, Dixon.
There you go. What other comments would you like to get to?
I like there's another one down there. Hold on, I'm getting to this. Where's my gal?
Was it the hopeful one?
Well, there's the same guy says, nope, he's busy preparing another sack to take our pulse.
That same sack has been going on for months and months and months, right? So
Yeah,
this is kind of like a last chance thing.
And it's gonna close very soon. So yeah, that's true. And we're not really advertising it probably.
You're also the Doom King, I hear.
I like this one. Yeah, that was one I was trying to find. Bring that one up.
Oh yeah, the Doom King.
Buck the Doom King, the Furu inside the RH ecosystem.
Furu, bro.
So Hope, you're saying my track record is worse than the other guys that told you, everything was going to go up 10,000x. Is that what you're saying? I'm the Doom King, or am I the Reality King? Is that's
the new Reality Kings network right here, boys? Here we go.
Dylan's favorite website, Buck the Doom King, Furu inside the RH ecosystem. I like that one.
This one here.
Yeah.
for a shit coin. Yep, it's the latest and greatest meme coin. Yep, that's right.
I like it when shit coins outperform those things that you just mentioned. I like it when that happens, and have less volatility. That's exactly what I like. So thank you, Hope, for that comment. By the way, really enjoying measuring our stuff in units of Florida. Not sure if I like that or benign tumor on ETH's ass better.
Okay. Yeah, so why don't you, for the chat, just let's rehash these euphemisms here.
Well, that's good feedback. So units of Florida is popular with the hex community. So we can use that as a measurement. I was actually thinking I could add that to Fatty.
It sounds like some good meme material.
Yeah, how many Floridas are? Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Yeah, but I'm tumor on ETH's ass. Yeah, I mean, look, someone said it's like growing a baby, gestating or something like that. Whatever metaphor works for you. But I do think the play is that we're going to grow off of Ethereum and with Ethereum, right? I don't think we're a separate organism yet, and maybe never will be. And I don't think that should be the strategy. Was kind of my point there. So that was pretty good. Anything else good? Vanilla Dylan, put your vanilla PulseX panty on for Buck. It's a buy. That's a good one as well.
Yeah, for some reason I did not bookmark that, but thank you for bringing that back up. Oh boy.
Yeah, that'll cost you.
Yeah.
That'll cost you. Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we made it through all the fun comments. Let me see. Oh, one of your favorite fans, Briz, what's up? He has chimed in. Buck is the kind of guy who would tell me Microsoft couldn't raise 20% in 6 months because its market cap is too big. LOL.
So, isn't that your own argument?
I think I did tell you Microsoft did that, Briz. But, and that I was very
impressed. Got at Microsoft in this argument,
and that was very impressive. But they had to they had to invest $10 billion in ChatGPT, which is like the most fucking groundbreaking technological advance I've seen in a decade, maybe my entire lifetime, in order to do it. So yeah, that's how hard it is to create $200 billion of value for shareholders. Like that's quite a feat. Yep. How many hexes is that? That's like creating 200 hexes, right? You know what I mean? It's a lot.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of creating things and or building things of value, let's get talk your book a little bit. So we've had eFiat launched. I mean, that's been live for I guess over a month or so, probably maybe close to that with actual staking, even though have the training wheels been taken off? What's the latest on that before we go?
We started to remove them,
Okay.
but obviously these things are still very volatile and illiquid. So, and we're just going to be conservative also because we're focused on other stuff for the moment. We'll be pretty patient with that. We don't want to have problems, when we're right about to launch these other things, right? So we'll just be patient with that. But yeah, we have that. We have
what's next?
Yeah, so
I hear there's some things brewing soon.
There are. So with the hiccups with PulseX, I think that's going to probably mean that we're going to probably want to wait a little bit and see how that all goes. Because if you think about it, the things that we're producing that require oracles, which is Fiat and PHU and FAME, they're reliant on those PulseX oracles. So, let's just let Richard get rid of all the teething issues is kind of what I'm thinking. And so we're now focused on basically bringing PHUX, which is our V2 balancer fork, to PulseChain as soon as possible.
How much was the sack for that?
Yeah, the sack for that was 0, guys. So
okay.
Yeah. Big fat 0. Wait, Isn't there a Twitter Spaces that we're having on next Friday where you're going to be like Oprah? What's that all about, Buck?
Yeah.
You get a FUX and you get a FUX.
Yeah.
Everybody gets a FUX.
Yeah, so we are going to be distributing the PHUX token broadly to various community members in a series of airdrops that will take up to a year. But the one on Friday, Friday for you guys next week will be the biggest and broadest one, I think, most likely to get things kicked off, and probably almost everybody listening here is going to be eligible for it. Even Hope area
Hope
in Dixon, and you guys are basically going to have the ability to get this thing for free. My strategy here is there's a few things that PulseX doesn't do that this does, which will, I think, be beneficial to the community.
Just don't say it's fair crypto.
No.
Okay.
No, it's not fair crypto.
Thank you.
So we wanted these things to be available. I can go into them in more detail maybe later, but I also just know that DEXs are very easy to do, and I want to crowd out the kind of insincere DEX people that I know are going to come with a series of DEX sacrifices, which is not to say if somebody has a DEX sacrifice that they're insincere. Quite the opposite. Like just in case you guys think I'm referring to hexy bastards, thing, I'm not. I'm talking about like really bad people, that have no intention of even really trying, but just want to put up a Uniswap fork or whatever, and give it a logo, and they don't even know anything about the community. So I just want to starve them out a little bit and basically give this thing away for free to various people. So there will be a claim, and I'm gamifying a little bit. So here's a little bit of information. Earlier pays better, bigger pays better, right? So nice. if you claim earlier with a bigger bag of something, and a bigger bag, gets calculated in a few different ways. You basically starve out. You starve out the next guy basically a little bit, so they get a little bit less every time you claim. Yeah, and everything that and the sacrifices the airdrops are going to last probably about 7 days, and then we're going to do another one. Right. So if you don't claim, that comes back. Well, it doesn't actually, never leaves, but that basically just goes into the next one. And we're just going to keep giving this stuff away until Hope writes, "We'll dump on arrival. If you're smart enough as you claim in your empty brags, please don't drop it to me. No more shit coins." I like it, Hope. So
or is it no hope?
It's anyway. I like this. Basically, if you're a whale or whatever, and a whole bunch of little guys come and claim before you, they're going to scale you right down. So they don't get to come fuck with you. So I'm rewarding people that have made good decisions and who have done things that I appreciate, and I'm going to continue to do that with this. So that's kind of the idea of it. Now to what our broader strategy is with it. With PHUX, we have the ability to do stable swaps. So we're going to be bringing millions of dollars over, which was sacrificed, and we're going to basically make it possible for you guys to go between your stable coins for 5 basis points instead of, I don't know, whatever, 22 or whatever it is on PulseX, right? So that's very important. We're going to let you put all the different Richard Hart coins into one big pool and, push the price against each other. So we're going to try to make those things more liquid and understand price better between them. We're going to be putting all the Alex things in one big pool together. And we can do this, that whole debate about wrapped in stuff. we can basically bring those in as well and stick them in a pool, and really let the market decide. So we think this thing has a nice use case. I think you guys will really learn to appreciate this exchange actually. Once you give it a try, it does some things that are different, and it's going to be owned by the community basically, which is a great result. So that's the most important thing.
Yeah, if it speaks to the community and interacts with community products or projects, it sounds to me like you're going in the opposite direction of maybe a staker, to where it's moving away from the community. And this sounds like you're, moving more towards, dare I say, I hate the word inclusivity, but yeah.
yeah. I'm all about inclusivity and diversity and ESG and all that stuff.
ESG, yeah. Keywords. Yes.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, what we haven't touched on. So we briefly mentioned eFiat. What about fiat for PulseChain?
Yep. So basically, I expect we'll have PHUX out, pretty soon. Doesn't need oracles. It's really just up to us to go through and look for UI bugs and things like that. We've made no changes to the underlying code really. We'll probably just run it through Pulse Police, Democratic Party partnership confirmed. I like it. That is good. Yeah. Let me get out my Michelle 2024. I'll get that in the logo.
Oh God. Yeah, Buck was Mortz was our admin, and he was our ambassador or lobbyist for the Democratic Party. But unfortunately, he's no longer with us. But anyways.
Yeah. Ritz. There's Brizology. Nothing wrong with inclusivity as long as it includes meritocracy. Well, that is profound. I'm in favor of meritocracy in general, but it's weird to see a Hexican espousing the virtues of meritocracy. That's probably the first I've seen. Yeah.
No, we already said our WEF liaison. He's not with us anymore.
We're gonna be airdropping grasshoppers to
grasshoppers and crickets. Yes,
crickets. Yeah, that's what we're gonna be doing, guys. Everybody gets a trophy. It is a bit like that for this one, Mudhog. It is a bit like that. The first one's going to be a bit like everybody gets a trophy in a sense, but subsequent ones may be more tactical and strategic. So keep your eye out for that. What was I going to say? So fiat and FAME. Fiat, like we could launch it anytime, right? But we don't want to rush into that just because, like I said, PulseX, which is the thing we're going to take price from, has obviously had this little hiccup this week. We probably want to just make sure that that's all copacetic. We'll probably wait a month, before we launch that. FAME, we probably, there's no work to do with fiat, right? So when we make the decision to start fiat, it'll take us maybe a few days to get it to go from being, not there at all to fully live, right? FAME, there's probably still a little bit of work that the boys want to do. It's running on testnet just fine and things like that. But, we would like to probably launch those things in kind of like a 30, 60-day time horizon, give them each a bit of a space to do that as well. Make sure that you guys use fiat and understand how it works as well.
A safe space?
No, it'll be an unsafe space. This is
okay.
Crypto. Yeah. So
check that keyword off. All right. Next.
Yeah. This is Crypto. Basically, there's crypto's all about basically figuring out how to lose your money by doing stupid things, right? So
that it is.
So there you go. So probably you're looking at PHUX this upcoming week. You're looking at fiat maybe in 30 days. You know, FAME could be coming maybe in like 40, 50 days. I don't know exactly. We'll want to do a big fucking launch for FAME as well. Like I really want to get Dylan doing the circuit really hard and get people really excited about that one. But yeah, that's kind of our time horizon, and all that, of course, is just subject to Richard and PulseChain. You know, so like if it's not safe or if there's still issues that we have to work through, we won't launch it. So we'll be looking around at like what Liquid Loans and Power City are doing with their products, which also use this stuff. And this guy, I'm a subject matter expert on losing money. Excellent. Well, you should really check out fame.io, sir.
Yes, the Tarn is a regular on this show, by the way. So best chat in crypto, in my opinion. Love you guys. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. Oh man. So yeah, I think we did cover everything. We got PHUX, Fiat, FAME. So yeah, we updated all those. What else is on the list? Oh yeah, before we offend some people, let's talk the Ink token. I was just vaguely curious on this because I don't think I've heard your take on it. Is it? Maybe I'll start with you, Dylan. Is it a dumperoo? Is it like a hold and see what happens? Like how are you kind of using it, or what are your theories on it? We've probably asked this the past couple weeks on the show.
Sure. So before when the Ink token first came out, right, when the farms first opened, that was probably not the time for you to dump your incentive token. Okay. And the reason for that is the other side of the circle wasn't open yet, right? So you had a couple of days where you were just only able to farm the incentive token and either dump it or hold it, right? That was it. And then a few days later, Richard opened up the incentive token to Pulse pools, the incentive token to, whatever, PulseX pool, whatever he opened up. I'm not paying attention. But at that point, that is when you want to start rotating out of this shit, right? This is when, that's kind of the circle of the the incentive token, right? It's an onboarding metric or an onboarding tool. It's a freemium thing. Okay.
For what we know and as it stands right now, I guess.
Yeah. So, logically from, my standpoint is the incentive token pair versus a real asset. So incentive token versus, say, Pulse will always have a higher APY than the, Pulse to die pools, like, the ones without the incentive token in it, right? And that's just to incentivize you guys to not sell it and just get a lot of it, right? But, I don't think that, it's one of the things that, it's probably more likely that you'll make money getting rid of it than you will trying to buy it and speculate on it. But, that's just, it could perform well, right? But if it does, make sure you are getting out of it and not buying it, right? But yeah, I mean, that's my take on it.
Or maybe another way of putting that is like farming it might be cool, but like going out and spending your cash on it would probably be better spent elsewhere.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Probably don't do that. Right. Let the other idiots do that. That like losing their money. Right. Don't do that. The time to buy it was when the other side of the pools weren't live, and then it did a 10x, right? Because the pools went live and it created that circle loop, right?
What did it go to? Like 70, 80, maybe more, something like that.
Yeah, I don't even look at the.
I mean, it just shot up, and I think now it's like under $30 or something like that. So.
Yeah, and and Richard, as we saw, loves to play with these little levers that he's got at his disposal, and you saw that with the wrap Bitcoin on Pulse, and then wrap Bitcoin from Ethereum, which wrap Bitcoin on Pulse is literally just a shitcoin. It has no value. It does nothing. You can't unwrap it for real Bitcoin. It is dead. Okay. But the people that bought it and paired it with real Bitcoin, those guys are the freemium onboarding to bring people from Ethereum to get users onto PulseChain they can then take their wrapped Bitcoin and sell it on to those guys' heads and enjoy the free money that they got from the PulseChain ecosystem, right? Now he may do this with other pairs just to, fire up a little bit more of outside investors to, bring in, and shit like that. Obviously, either you need to know exactly what's going on or buy a bunch of random shit that's worthless, and perhaps you can ride up these pumps and sell it on these the FOMO things, right? Or just trade the news, right? But that's risky, and pennies in front of freight trains kind of thing, right? But yeah, it's interesting what Richard does with all this shit, because he's got so many more tools now. Instead of just being the Fed of Hex, now he is the Fed of PulseChain. He's the Fed of PulseX. He's the Fed of Incentive Token, and the Fed of Hex, right? So he can do whatever the fuck he wants. And clearly he's been enjoying himself doing this stuff. So,
or whoever is behind the scenes, he's merely the founder of this.
Yes,
so,
the anonymous Federal Reserve of our entire ecosystem. Yes, that guy.
And he may be, like a reserve bank of New Zealand of Bitcoin as well. All right. So I think he's got a decent bag of that.
Yeah. So, people are like, has Richard sold all his BTC? I think that would be kind of stupid. So I don't think he has. But
well, hopefully he converted most of it to Ethereum. But yeah. I would imagine he's sitting on quite a bit.
Yeah.
Any
take on Ink, Buck, before we move on?
No. Yeah. No, I don't have any.
You dabble with farms or anything like that?
Not this year. I'm just busy. Like I don't have time to go.
No harvesting or.
I don't have time to go nerd stuff like that. If you're into it, God help you. God bless you. Yeah.
All right. Well, as previously mentioned, before we close the show, let's offend some people with a couple of topics. So the topic du jour of offense: E-Hex versus Hex, or Hex on Ethereum versus Hex on PulseChain. So I'm curious about this because you both have, I guess, a slightly different viewpoint. Dylan, I'll let you go first.
Sure. Yeah. So we had a very lengthy discussion on Twitter yesterday, and it was bow tied up into a really nice package, where essentially P-Hex probably overperforms against E-Hex. Okay. And it's basically all one bet. Right. So if somebody is trying to speculate on Hex or the Richard Heart ecosystem from the outside, i.e. Ethereum, and they just buy E-Hex, that value will just get shuffled over into the PulseChain ecosystem regardless, right? And they don't have to take the bridge risk. They don't have to, worry about what's going on PulseChain. They can just bet on Hex on Ethereum, okay? Which is fine, okay? But us in the community, we'll be bringing in people, from the outside in directly to PulseChain, right? And then also, the bridge risk that can be mitigated eventually in the future with just exchanges anyways, right? And then once we get stable coins on the platform as well and all that shit, right? But yeah, basically we all came to the conclusion that yes, P-Hex and E-Hex, they're going to live on. We think that P-Hex is just going to overperform versus E-Hex, but it essentially is still all one bet, right? So nothing needs to die. They'll both live on in harmony, and we'll all sing kumbaya in the bull market. And we'll literally laugh about this when all the prices go up, in a year and a half, 2 years. So
yeah, as echoed by OXWell, just sit on your damn hands and watch the number go up.
There you go. Exactly.
Maybe a year or two. Yeah, I mean, I can get along with that. I agree with, and I've said this before, I think P-Hex will trade at a premium to E-Hex. But at the same time, I don't think there's a need to FUD E-Hex, or especially, I know I'll be delicate, but I think, it could have gone a lot better for those who came out against E-Hex. I think it could have been way better done in terms of optics. So I'll say that, even though we might agree more than people might think. I mean, I have sold some E-Hex for P-Hex, and I said this last week. Do as much as you want to, so you can sleep at night. If you're bullish on both, I think both will be around, like you said, and possibly Buck could say here in a minute. Years from now. I've also said that I think Hex on Ethereum is kind of going to be like the rich man's chain, so whales won't really give a crap. If you want to go onboard plebs, P-Hex, the P stands for pleb, maybe Hex. So if you have $100, send them to P-Hex.
Yeah.
So, what's your take, Buck?
I don't know if Dylan said it because I wasn't really listening, but he and I kind of talked about this yesterday, and we came to a bunch of conclusions basically, regardless of how we personally feel about it. The one thing look, I don't really care about this subject too much, but I do think it's useful to have a beachhead on Ethereum, and we do have a presence there. We don't want to be. We don't want to give that up. I don't think. I'm gonna. I launched Fiat on Ethereum for a reason. Because I do think there's going to be a lot of interplay between these two chains, right? I will get around to launching PHUX on Ethereum as well. So there may be another airdrop, even after this one, come to think of it. Or maybe I'll just give it all to this Hope area person who hates shitcoin so much, so she can dump it. So basically, these people that want to say I'm just going to go onboard all my friends on P-Hex, they're teenagers with no money that don't understand how economies work, right? You want to have big connectivity, right? So I think it's a little bit silly to give that up. I think this thing that Richard's talked about before, which is this derivative play, and that he's sort of played with a little bit with the farms and stuff like that. I think that's part of this thing, but I also think he just doesn't really know, and no one really knows how effective any of this will be. So we might as well give it a try first, right? And if that doesn't really seem to work, we may end up just stop caring about this stuff later. But yeah, it is all one big bet, really. Pulse Hex, PulseX incentive token, Hedron, Fiat. We're all kind of one bet on Richard, really, right? If what's good for Richard's ecosystem is good for all these coins, and the general direction of all these things is going to be in the same direction. That's just the reality. So people get really obsessively biased about this coin that they own because they don't own this other coin. I could be like, oh well, I don't like the Maxi guys because I don't own any Maxi. It's like, you idiot, Maxi goes up. Maxi goes up.
Thing, you dummy.
It's the same fucking thing. Yeah, just because you don't own it, it's like you own it. It's they're deeply connected, right? And I try to explain this to hexicans in a way that if you go to a nice neighborhood, why do you pay all that money to go live in a nice neighborhood when you could go buy a mansion in the ghetto, right? At a discount, right? Why do people pay a lot of money to go to nice places? It's because there's benefits to you when your neighbors do well, right? When your neighbors are educated and prosperous, odds are you are too, right? They're able to pay you more, if you provide services to them, right? So you like being in a neighborhood with lots of, doctors and lawyers and engineers and, wealthy people, right? So it's like everything in this ecosystem is pretty well correlated. And having said that, we're pretty well correlated more broadly with the rest of crypto. But I guess Ghetto Mansion gang. Yeah, some of you actually do want a Ghetto Mansion, but that's a very specific thing. But yeah, so basically everybody has this idea that it's all, what I don't own is bad, and therefore, they're evil. But it's really childish, to be honest. It doesn't matter. So Dylan and I basically talked about the merits of this thing, and we concluded that regardless of how we feel, nobody really thinks that we're going to be able to just kill the Ethereum versions of these coins, that they're going to stick around just for speculative purposes. And while they may trade at a discount, like I don't really care what that means. That doesn't mean anything to me. And they may outperform over short-term, medium-term periods. And I'll probably go in there and buy them at the expense of the PulseChain versions, right? If you guys dump your eHEX down to 1 cent and Pulse versions at 4 cents, I'm gonna dump that P version for the Ethereum version. I'll warn you now. Go ahead and do it. Go ahead and do it, guys. And it's not because I'm philosophically a maxi about any of this. It's just because that's just good trading, basically. And that's about where I think it's going to be. Richard made that tweet where he said, the market's going to decide. So, one X factor in this is I think Richard could swing this vote one way if he wanted to. But, I think that tweet, which he made during our Twitter Spaces yesterday, which makes us wonder if he might have been listening, kind of gives us a little bit of insight into, his policy on it, which is, it sounds like he doesn't want to decide for us. So yeah, and that makes sense. If I often try to put myself in Richard's shoes. It's if I'm in this thing, I don't want to get in the middle of this and tell you guys one way or the other, because I'm going to offend and hurt a bunch of people no matter what I do. Yeah. Right. So it's a lot easier just to shut up about it and quietly go try all these kind of derivative things and see if they work. And if they don't work, then, probably, people will lean more towards the Pulse version. And obviously Richard will want to brag about the Pulse version being worth more, but that's more of a vanity thing. We'll call that a vanity premium.
There you go.
Yeah. But I don't think that's necessarily makes it a better investment. It just means that one has a higher number. Right.
Yeah.
All right. And I guess our last topic of the evening has to do with market caps. So I think I was on a Spaces where you guys were talking about this, and I'm I found myself to be, I'm usually team real, team conservative, and I think I'm in team Buck with this one, but I've seen it with Hex, and now I'm seeing it with Pulse and PulseX. 10,000 X's, which would be trillions and trillions of dollars in market cap. And I'm just guys, math is still real. It still works. Let's stay within the bounds of the math. Richard likes to say, market cap's a vanity metric. And I've always said, it's not until proven otherwise. So it's very, in fact, real. And until there's an example of it being proven false, market cap does mean something. And I think Buck might have been on a Spaces maybe a week ago or less than that. You brought up the fact, well, sure, these things can have a crazy wick up to some crazy number, and that box is checked, but that's not really real because no trades can really happen there for a sustained period of time. So when I see,
especially not in volume. Right.
That's what I mean. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you. So when I see, these predictions of Hex for $50 and, $1 PulseX and, $1.50 PulseChain or whatever it is, I vomit in my mouth a little bit because I'm just baby steps. We haven't even done a multiple X really, maybe a 2X on PulseChain, but baby steps, guys. So I just wanted to get your take and perhaps maybe inject a little realism in terms of what we could see maybe this cycle or whatever we want to call it the next couple of years for Pulse and PulseX. I think you maybe have said a 10 to 40x is a fair expectation, and we'd be great with anything there or above.
Yeah. You want to take this one, Dylan?
Yeah. we try and value these things based off of like what was sacrificed, right? And Buck's argument, which is very sound, is obviously we are like a tumor to Ethereum, and if Ethereum does well, we'll do well, and we'll always outperform Ethereum, right? And that's kind of our uniqueness in the crypto space. We have a lower starting price, at the moment than what Ethereum's starting price is at the moment, right? For a return standpoint, okay? Ethereum is, I believe, in the ranges of hundreds of billions of dollars in value, kind of, right? And PulseChain, we're sitting at literally 1.12 billion at the moment, right? And so, if we grow versus Ethereum, while Ethereum is growing, we get to outperform Ethereum and have multiples of return, right? And it doesn't take much for us to do that. But for us to do, something like the area of like a 300x from now, that would be extremely impressive. Like that would be where Ethereum is starting at right now, kind of thing. That is a lot. That's going to be extremely hard to do, in my opinion, right? But I mean, something like getting near what the value of Binance Chain is at the moment. That's impressive, and that's a little bit more manageable, right? That's easier to accomplish because of the law of large numbers, right? Which Buck loves to talk about this, and it's only reasonable. And we're obviously not counting the OA coins in this, right? We're counting the amount of money that was sacrificed for Pulse during the volume period, right? The volume bonus period. And then when that ended, the OA came in and sacrificed tens of billions of dollars, if I'm not mistaken, right? So obviously not counting that, starting at around $1 billion, PulseChain going up to, $40 billion market cap would be extremely impressive. And, I would be happy with that. But, hey, we'll see what happens. But I do not think we're going to get no damn 10,000x. Like, come on, guys,
It's a popular thing to say. It gets a lot of likes and follows and subs, but
yeah.
I just
but why not a million X? I like million X's,
right? But I just
personally,
I want to at least give people a dose of realism, and I know
I want a billion X, dude. Come on,
I want it all, man.
I want a billion X.
You know what? A billion X is almost the same probability as a 10,000x. Just by the way, quietly, they're about the same probability.
So there's a chance.
there is a chance, and in absolute terms, the probability is pretty similar between the two. I would estimate. Yeah,
but there's a chance.
Yeah, so you might as well go. You might as well go for a billion X if you're going for a 10,000x because your odds are about the same.
Well, I guess before we get out of here, what's reasonable? Like, what could we achieve, I guess, in our coming years for just, let's say, a Pulse chain? Like, do you think like 10 to 25 is doable? Or like, what would you cap it at to be like, all right, this gets stupid, anything above here?
So, ceteris paribus. Okay, let me translate. How do we say this in English?
Sure. I am just a Florida man. What the hell does that mean?
Holding all else equal.
Okay.
Right? So we're just going to assume no growth in Ethereum or anything else. Okay, it's just an assumption. This is an abstract thought exercise, guys. We're, let's say, at roughly $1 billion now. I know maybe it's more, maybe it's less. Who cares? But
$1 billion.
Yeah, we're at $1 billion. You look at where the other L1s are at, right? You got BNB. It's worth how much? About 47 billion right now. You go down the list: Cardano 12, Polygon 8, Avalanche 4.5, right? We could go to Phantom, but fuck them. I think they're worth less than we are even. And then you have Ethereum at 224, right? Okay, so there's your sort of football field of ranges, right? So you can kind of, like for us to do 100x, we're approaching Ethereum in size, right?
It's a big ask.
It's a big ask, but it's a lot easier if I take away that assumption that I made earlier, where Ethereum doesn't grow, right? But that's sort of, a big ask, 100x. For us to do 50x, we'd be roughly about the same size as BNB, which is I think possible, right? But like that would be a very good success story. Like I think that Binance has been around for a long time. They have a huge user base. I think they're the world's largest exchange. And they've got a like full vertical horizontal integration of crypto basically through their thing, and lots of users. So like for them to be at 50 billion is pretty impressive. I think that's a good goal for us to shoot for in the next cycle, is to try to outperform them. Right now, if Ethereum can do a 3x or a 5x, and you can make up your own assumptions about what Ethereum can do, you can pretty much multiply that number by whatever assumptions you make about what we can do. So if Ethereum can do like a 3x and we can do a 50x just standing still, relative to these other things, then we might be able to do 150x in a really, really excellent optimistic scenario, like in the next kind of 3 to 5 years would be my estimate. But like I stress, that would be like a very, very good outcome for those things, right? And we should be happy with that, because that's massively outperforming. Oh, Jesus Christ, Brazology. This is so funny. Okay. We would be massively outperforming Ethereum and all these other things, which would bring a lot of attention to what we're doing, right? So 100x is actually a really good, because guess who can't do 100x? Ethereum and Bitcoin. Like, it's really fucking hard. The same way I'm laughing at you guys, that want to say 10,000x for this, I'd be laughing at Bitcoin guys that are expecting 100x. Yeah. So okay, let's talk about liquidity pools for Brazology. There's an intrinsic value to these things that the market is trying to figure out constantly. We don't know what it is. It's an abstract principle, but over time things go basically above or below that intrinsic value, and the market's constantly trying to guess for where that is. The liquidity pools don't matter, right? That's just a construct that, that's how people are trading it, right? Like that doesn't determine what the actual value of the network is. The value of the network, the Ethereum network, has nothing to do with its Uniswap pool, right? That might be a source of price that you guys quote, but in reality, the value of Ethereum is really based on the value of its total network, which is all the people using it and all the things that are built on it and all this sort of abstract stuff. So when guys tell you, oh yeah, but liquidity pools, bro, like that's complete and utter nonsense. But in their defense, yes, in which Cabana already said, so we didn't need to say it, Brazology, it's possible with very low liquidity to get ticks, so meaning, very short-term prices, where you can massively blow out and go well above what the intrinsic value of these things should be. And you can also go well below and get things incredibly cheaply.
I want to just mention something here about liquidity pools. In the beginning of Hex, there used to be always around 14 to $20 million of liquidity. This is before we even went to a penny. Okay. This is around when Godwill doubled the liquidity pool around that era in 2020. However, if you look at the liquidity pool on Hex now, there is even less liquidity. Okay. But the price action has not reflected, low liquidity, price go up. Okay.
No.
So you need to keep that in mind, right? It is not all about the liquidity pools. It is about this stuff.
Can you put Brazology's latest thing there. He writes, I say market cap doesn't matter and liquidity pools are the only thing that matter. And you say the opposite. So I'm now having cognitive dissonance. Okay. So, Brazology, I assume you own a house. Does your house have value? What's the liquidity pool for your house? I'm going to say it again. Shut up. I'm going to say it again. I want everybody to listen to this. Hey, Brazology, I assume you own a house. Does your house have value? Yes. What's the liquidity pool for your house? There's no fucking liquidity pool, is there? But your house has value. It's worth, 500 grand, right? Or whatever it's worth, right? You're a wrecked apartment club. Okay. Your wrecked apartment, does it have a liquidity pool, right? No.
What about his car? He's got to have a car.
It's worth 100 grand, right? How do you know your car is worth 100 grand, or your house is worth 100 grand? Because that's what the market more or less thinks such an asset is worth, and it does that without having a liquidity pool, right? So we have assets all the time that have no fucking liquidity pools, but still manage to transact without them because people come and fucking buy them, right? So this whole idea that the liquidity pool is the bee's knees of this is just like really stupid. Like it's the mother lode of dumb things to think, right? Your hex is worth something because a whole bunch of people have decided that it's got value and they're convincing other people that they should value it too and buy it. That's it, right? Ethereum is worth something because a whole bunch of people got together and decided it's useful and they want to speculate and transact on it and use it to send money around the world. Okay, that gives Ethereum its $200 billion valuation, right? What happens on Uniswap is you just see that kind of approximated by the market in real time, right? But even if there were technically no Uniswap for a day, Ethereum would still have value, right? Because it's still this network that basically we all covet and we all use. So that's how this works. But yeah, let's close out the market cap thing as well. We'll touch on that. Richard contradicts himself a lot because he'll say market cap is a vanity metric, and then he'll say Bitcoin and Ethereum are too heavy, right? And he's right. Bitcoin and Ethereum are heavy, right? We're less heavy than them, right? But valuation is not a vanity metric, right? So market cap is a number that you have to make adjustments to, and everybody does it, right? To make things comparable, right? That's the job that financial analysts do, and that's what effectively Dylan's doing when he removes the OA from the from the supply of the hex and PulseX and all that stuff, right? You have to make those sort of adjustments to try to make it useful, and even when you do that, it's still something that's open for debate. You can have a really good detailed conversation with somebody about, hey, I think you should ignore these things, or I think you should add this in. Like this is part of the art form of valuation, right? So that's not really up for debate, right? Now, Richard is correct in that it's possible to game market cap, right? He is right about that. And, in that regard, you can make market cap a vanity metric, right? But that doesn't mean market cap is useless. No, it's very useful, right? And valuation is a very useful thing. There's a lot of people that make a ton of money, and all they do all day is try to value things. Portfolio managers, the guys that value your house or your artwork or whatever. I mean, there's a reason these people make a ton of money because it's a really useful skill, right? Investment bankers, the whole world basically operates off of people like this, right? McKinsey, I know there's probably not a lot of McKinsey people in the chat right now, but that's what they're doing. They're going out and figuring out how to make companies better and more profitable, right? So that they can be sold, or get a higher share price, right? That's their job. So yeah, don't just be the idiots that regurgitate talking points. Try to think, about what these things actually mean, right? So market cap can be used as a vanity metric, would be a more correct statement. Market cap is very useful.
And that argument can go on, but we will leave it there happily. Before we go, I'm just going to debut a brand new segment. It's called Running Out of Hope. So here we have Cabana Crypto from Hope. Why is he reopening and saving PLS and PLSX? What happened to the fiat you claim you have? Suckers will keep sucking the community. Sell Dylan if he is worth anything but clapping hands.
I do want to sell Dylan. I think that if I could short Dylan, that would be.
don't bet against the Zoomer.
Leverage Dylan on FAME.
Pretty sure the one time we bet, I beat you, Dylan. So
hey, yeah. That was yes. You're 1-0 right now. Yes.
Next on our Running Out of Hope segment, except Alex Hedron, every other MF's projects like this are trying to suck us out of our PLS and PLSX for trash shitcoins.
Don't forget, Alex did have his thing where he sold you NFTs, and he got a lot of money for that. Okay, so
which by the way makes me very happy. So,
exactly.
Yeah, like we love Alex, and we
appreciate what he's built,
and we really think by the way, like I'll bet you guys Hedron outperforms Hex in the next cycle. I'll put that out there. I don't really want to cause a like a big like shit fight for Alex with that comparison, but this whole idea that market cap doesn't matter, let's test that out. I think you'll see that the lower market cap successful projects that come from third parties will vastly outperform PulseX and HEX, and that shouldn't surprise any of you, and you shouldn't be upset about that. I'm not upset about that as a guy that owns a lot of HEX. That's just the way the world works, right? The safest things in the Richard Heart ecosystem, as far as you can be safe with crypto, are going to be those Richard coins, right? They're going to be the least risky in that regard. But if you really do want outsized returns, like if you're not happy with a 40 to 100x that I say is potentially possible in a really optimistic scenario for Pulse and PulseX and HEX, like if that's not enough for you, then you're going to have to look further down and get lower market cap projects that are going to similarly benefit from that 100x in, let's say, Pulse, but have another maybe 10x on top of that they can do. Right, that's how you get 1,000x. But a 10,000x is very hard to do. Like even with Hex, we haven't really sustained it yet, and we only got there on a technicality to an extent with Hex going to one Satoshi. Yeah, like so that's a like Hex was basically free for a period of time, right? And then. How far away from 50 cents are we now, Dylan? I don't even know. A ways away.
Need like a
49 cents away.
Yeah. Okay. So there you go. So it's like even Hex hasn't sustained the 10,000x yet.
No.
That's some food for thought. But actually, when I say 100x is possible, 40x is possible. That's exceptionally bullish, right? Like, if you ask me to make the same prediction about Ethereum, I'd be like, well, 10x is possible. Like 5x is possible, right?
Yeah.
If you ask me about Bitcoin, I'd be like, 3x is possible.
Maybe it makes the same all-time high.
Maybe it gets back to exactly. If you ask me to do this for XRP, it's like, maybe they'll someday get back to their 2017 high. Maybe, so that's, I think, realistic, but also, I can apply the same logic. And what that means is if people want to get big gains and big returns, they should probably, Buck, are you from the fascist island?
That means.
Well, this that sounds like fun. Where do I go to hang out in Fascist Island? What is that like? What is that? Is that like where all the guys went after World War II? There's like some like island of like fascists hanging out. No,
Fashtonamo Bay. I don't know.
I'm from Vermont. It's it's pretty unfascist.
Pretty boring.
There's lots of like dairy cows and leftists and things like that. It's pretty unfascist. You should go try it. Like the skiing sucks, but the mountains are kind of pretty, I guess, sometimes when the weather's good, which is basically never. But for New England, it's not bad.
Right.
Yeah.
I think New York is as far as I've been north in the States. I've been to Canada, but yeah, right over New York, but not the New England, like way up in there.
You're not really missing out on much.
That's
honestly.
why I haven't really gone.
Yeah.
I like south and on the coasts and stuff like that. So yeah.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
I was gonna close it out if you
Let's do it.
didn't have anything else. But last thing on here. I've been doing some reading of late, just various books. I was just curious if get a book pick from either one of you before we go.
Oh yeah,
any books
Dylan,
that you like out there?
let's put Dylan on the spot. Dylan, what books are you currently reading?
I am an illiterate Florida man. I don't read any
Florida
books.
man.
I think the last book I read was The 48 Laws of Power, which oh, my camera just died.
There it is.
Oh yeah, this is how he gets out of the
we
question.
need to read the camera manual. All right.
What books am I currently reading? Oh fuck. Gonna just rug my camera. Oh,
Yeah.
it's a technical.
Oops.
It's a technical problem.
No, yeah, I think the last book I read was The 48 Laws of Power, and that was a while ago.
It was just a question out of curiosity.
And then I read some mergers and acquisitions, case studies a couple of years ago as well.
A couple of years ago.
I have a M&A book, yeah.
That's awesome.
Recently, I just did The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fucks and PHUX, of course, which is like, okay, like I kind of like that's already kind of a lot of my mindset, if that tells you anything about me. But another one, just like it was Bob Pisani from CNBC, Shut Up and Keep Talking. That was an interesting look at the TV production side of his, I don't know, decades at CNBC and some cool stories with guys like Arkashian and stuff like that. Buck, anything you've been reading? I think next up for me is the Chip War, which I'm really excited about and pretty relevant as to what's going on right now with could be Taiwan Semi, Intel, that whole thing. But anyway, nerding out a little bit. Buck?
I'm actually writing a book right now. As a matter of fact, it's on hexagon valuation methods. It's
pseudonym Buck Phiat, right? Like Dr. Seuss.
Yeah. I think it's like I think basically it's going to just be a treatise on we've been doing valuation wrong for like the past 100 years, and hexagons have figured out all this stuff that nobody else gets, and I'm going to submit that to the CFA Financial Analyst Journal, and maybe get a Nobel Prize, and then but I'll hopefully share it with Richard, like because obviously he's sort of provided the. It's not even Richard's fault, because Richard's actually told us correctly. It's just hexagons interpret things in a stupid way. They hear him go, market cap is a vanity metric, and therefore, there's nothing useful about it, right? But yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to basically write the financial treatise on hexagon valuation methods and probably get the Nobel Prize.
Excellent.
I'm reading a book called À la recherche de temps perdu.
Bless you.
Yeah, by Marcel Proust at the moment, in French. That's what. So I'm trying to get my kind of French skills back. So It's going
Nice.
very slowly.
Very nice.
Yep.
Buck and Briz, A Tale of Two Cities. There you go. That's what Briz is reading. So good stuff. All right. Yeah, no, I was just curious. Fun little thing to close it out there. Like you said, we have tons to look forward to with the FAME and Fiat and PHUX ecosystems in the coming weeks and or months. But tell us where we can find you, keep track with you, you know, keep track of what's going on. Dylan, where can we find you, man? Obviously.
So yeah,
T.me.
if you see the link there in my name, visit that chat, and it'll direct you to everywhere you need to go. There's a little message that pops up, like I think every hour, and it literally gives you all of the telegrams, all of the Twitter handles, questions that you shouldn't ask, questions that you should ask. But yeah, follow, join T.me /Fiat Crypto with a PH, right? If you have any questions regarding anything specific, just DM me. My username is right there under Buck's name, T.me /Hexastani. Yeah, I'll get to your thing at some point because I get a lot, but yeah.
That's good. I like that hope. Then we had Brizalji. Apply your 100-year-old strategies to an invention that has only been around for 14 years. Dex is even less. You know what's really funny is Newton created Newtonian physics like 500 years ago, and that still works pretty fucking well. So like we're still using the same fucking math that the Arabs invented like a couple thousand years ago, right? Still working pretty well, huh? And Blue Bum called me a sack of shit. Thank you. You're full. In French, he said, "You are a piece of shit." Yeah, basically. Thank you. I'm reading. I'm reading Saudi's Buy and Burn.
Sounds like a horror story.
The Khashoggi thriller. I like it. Yeah, that could be. Yeah.
Oh man,
that's funny.
All right, well that'll about do it for this week. Thank you, chat, as always. You guys rock and keep it absolutely entertaining. Not just for myself and the community, but especially for Buck and Dylan, who I love to have on here anytime I can get them. So, and especially with all the stuff that is coming soon, weeks, maybe less than for some things, longer than others. But yeah, this is going to be a really fun time because now we actually have the chains launched, and now we not only the FAME ecosystem, Power City, Liquid Loans. I mean, there's so much stuff that we have to look forward to. So really looking forward to it, and what our great minds in this ecosystem, Buck included, Alex, the Power City team, everybody has to look forward to. So outstanding. Thank you guys for coming on. I know it's really early for you, Buck, but I greatly appreciate it. I know you've been doing the rounds, and I greatly appreciate you stopping by. This for this audience, some of them aren't able to catch all the streams and shows that you're on, so really appreciate you coming by, and of course Dylan for your takes as well.
Thank you, sir. Yep.
All right. So till next week, I don't know where I will be. I think I'm going to be in studio one time in the next 2 or 3 months. So I might be on a beach somewhere. I don't know, but it's the last time in the wilderness or front porch rocking for a while, and we'll see. Stay tuned to the socials, and we'll catch you next week. Thanks everybody, and cheers.